And we're rolling. Okay, in business. June 30th lecture. Celtic Tiger Dad's Summer Bummer Lecture Series. Ruben's question for the week is a science question. And it is about the origins of language. And specifically, Ruben, what was your question?
What was the first language?
What was the first language? And this is going to open up.
And how did they come up with it?
And how did they come up with it? Great. And this is going to come up. This is going to open up the entire world of linguistics. Okay, linguistics. Okay, is a term I want you to know, and it means the study of language. Okay? Linguistics comes from the Latin root for tongue. La lengua in Spanish also comes from the same Latin root. And have you ever heard of lengua tacos? You know, like in Mexico, they'll have beef tongue, chop it up, put it in a taco. Anyway, it comes from the same Latin root as linguistics, tongue. Sometimes languages are referred to as tongues, okay? Have you heard of like speaking in tongues from the Bible, or speakers of a shared tongue? Sometimes you'll hear languages referred to as tongues, okay? So that's where that comes from. And so I'm going to write Ruben's question. Okay? Ruben's question. What was the first language, and how did they come up with it? Okay, what was the first language and how did they come up with it? How did they think of that? Okay? So we're going to talk about the first written symbols, okay? The first writing systems, okay? And the first writing systems, hey, you want to say hi to the camera?
No.
Hi! Okay. So the first writing systems actually used very simple pictures to symbolize what they were talking about, what they were trying to communicate. Okay, that makes sense, right? You still see this type of writing used in traffic signs, for instance, right? For instance, have you noticed where you guys, let's say there's a crossing guard in a school zone, right, who helps the kids cross the street? Sometimes there'll be a yellow sign with a person walking across the street, right? It'll be like a little sign with a person, little stick figure walking. And that's kind of like a pictogram. It's kind of a pictograph, okay? It's a symbol that's meant to communicate. But it's in the form of a picture, not letters, okay? Letters represent what? What do letters symbolize, Evan? Speaking, yes, but specifically like A represents a certain sound, right? So we have a phonetic alphabet. So that we have a different type of writing than a pictograph, okay? So the first writing systems we had a progression from pictographs, okay, which were picture symbols that represented concepts and ideas. Okay, so these pictographs could communicate a whole concept or idea. Reuben, are you keeping up with the notes? And then this developed into logographs. Logographs. Where symbols represent words. Okay, so single words. So we go from whole concepts and ideas to symbols that represent words, and these could be more abstract symbols. You wouldn't necessarily be able to tell all the time what the symbol was depicting. You would just have to know that that symbol means this word, okay? The pictographs are self-explanatory, right? Like when you see, they're pretty self-explanatory. Like when you see a traffic sign, some of the picture traffic signs, right? Like let's say you see let's find some pictographs. Like let's say you see that pedestrian symbol, you know that that's a place where people walk. And it's self-evident, right? Well, some of these logographs would be not self-evident. You would have to know the language to understand what they're trying to communicate. And a good example, and I'll go through and we'll flesh out the specific examples of each of these in a minute. And then finally, you would get to syllabaries, okay, where the symbols represent, what do you think by the name, Evan? Syllabaries. What do you think the symbols represent in a syllabary? Syllabary. What is that?
I don't know.
Well, what is that word? What does that term contain in it? What is it similar to? Syllable. No, not berry. Syllable.
Berry.
Do you see how we're going from like several words in a concept or idea down to one word? Now we're breaking up the word into syllables or sounds. Okay, so here we're getting more and more refined as we go, which gives the language more flexibility. Each alphabet has more flexibility and more precision in terms of what it can communicate. Okay, because as we refine this down, the symbols represent syllables. Okay, so I could imagine the word tomorrow. Okay, the first syllable in tomorrow is what, Evan? What's the first syllable in the word tomorrow? Two. Right? Now, Reuben, what's the word we use for not the next day but this day? What's the word we use?
Today.
Today. So we have two words that start with the same syllable, right? Tomorrow and today, right?
Yeah.
So we might come up with our own language, Evan. What symbol should we use for the word to? Maybe we could use, to make things kind of consistent, we could use the number 2. We could use 2, and then what would we say for day? What's our symbol for day? We want to use a pictogram? Like the sun rising? Let's use the sun rising like this, okay? It's a little pictogram. This is today. Now, for tomorrow, This is an example of a hybrid mix of logographs and syllabaries, which is the way Chinese is formed. Chinese is very similar to this. It's a logo syllabary.
That's true.
So you can do today, which would be today. Now let's come up with tomorrow. So we're starting with two, and then Evan, what would you like to do for the next syllable? The next syllable is mar.
Mars.
Okay, Mars. Good, perfect. Mars. So let's do Mars. Let's do Mars is like, okay, it's the next planet away from the sun, so it's colder, it's further away, but it's about the same size as Earth. What do you think we should do for Mars? What kind of symbol? Let's use a pictograph. It might be easier. Do you have any ideas?
Like a small ball that's like
Cold.
around.
Okay, how do we show that it's cold? Just think it through. This is how we're making our own language.
Okay, like to put a temperature thing on it.
Okay, cool. So we'll do a circle with like a thermometer. Okay,
But
just
it
do
would
it.
take like years to learn all the words.
Oh, I know. Think about how many syllables. Think about how many syllables. Okay, mar, and then the last syllable is tomorrow. O. Okay.
Oh.
Literally,
You just want to use the letter O.
Literally O.
Tomorrow.
Boom.
Okay, we can use that. Okay,
Oh.
we'll just end this. Okay. So there it is, today and tomorrow. Now the problem is, now look, see, you might say tomorrow, it was easier to spell tomorrow and today for that matter with our logo syllabary. Why don't we just use that system now? Okay, you might ask.
Because no one else knows it.
No, it's not about that. You teach the people in your culture your language, okay? Chinese is extremely difficult. It's hundreds of characters. And this gets to why these logo syllabaries are actually more complicated and they're more cumbersome alphabets to use in writing systems, okay? And over time, these logo syllabaries have been massively stripped down and massively simplified because of this complexity. You have hundreds of characters in the Chinese alphabet. The reason being, think about how many words are in the English language. There's tens of thousands of words. So imagine if you had a true one-for-one logo
For
graphic system, you would have thousands of characters, okay? And so it's too many to remember. You got to remember the word and the specific symbol. It's just too cumbersome. So almost all logographic systems, writing systems, are actually hybrids of logographs and syllabaries. But even when you include syllabaries, which as we've indicated here, you can have a lot of words with the same syllables, right? It still doesn't solve the problem as well, as efficiently as a true alphabet. The reason is, look at a true alphabet, guys. A true alphabet, you've broken it down not just from syllables, which syllables always include a vowel, if you notice. Syllables include consonants and vowels. Vowels give the sound its structure. It's a good way to think of it. So I can say s, right? That's not a consonant yet. But when I say sa, that's a consonant. And typically the consonant, that's a
Wow.
syllable. When I add the consonant and the vowel. So, and typically syllables have consonant, vowel, consonant, or consonant, vowel structure, okay? But so here's my point about syllables. You've got more syllables than you have sounds. Because I can do s, that's one sound, but I can make how many syllables out of s and plus a vowel. I can do si, si, so, si, sa, sow, all these start with S, right? These are all S syllables. So already I've got, for every single consonant, I've got probably 10 related syllables, right? So the true alphabet solves this complexity by making all the characters stripped down to their minimum sound. So the true alphabet, you can see where I'm going. The true alphabet is where the symbols represent what, Ruben? Okay, you see where we're going here. Alphabet is where the symbols represent not syllables, not words, not concepts.
Noises.
Noises. Good. Noises. Represent noises or sounds. /sounds. And one way to also say this in the language of linguistics is to say phonemes. Phonemes is just the fundamental sounds of language, okay? Phonemes. So this is the difference between, this is the development of the writing systems. And this is how they came up with the first writing systems. They started just by saying, how do we draw a picture that represents what we're saying to each other? Because spoken language pre-existed written language.
Wait, so they just randomly said noises and then acted out what the noises meant, and then...
Well, again, like we said, we had pretty much. Here's a way we could say it. Okay.
What?
Ooh-ah. 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 Ooh-ah.
What? Like, what
Ooh-ah.
are you trying to make me say?
Ooh-ah.
Eraser?
That's the ooh-ah. See? Da. Ooh-ah. Da-da-da. Ooh-ah. See?
Okay.
Now I know da means that, and ooh-ah means eraser. See, this is how language is formed in terms of speaking. But how now do I say, how do I represent that this eraser is an ooh-ah? Okay? And that's where we go from the spoken word to a written symbol that represents the ooh-ah. So this is where they first started. The natural place to start is just draw the ooh-ah. Just draw it. Well, the ooh-ah looks like this. You know, it's a box, whatever. It's got a little felt bottom. Okay. But you can imagine how cumbersome this would be to draw every word, right? It's just so much, right? So much work. So the pictogram developed from there to logographs, which again are not literal representations of objects all the time. They morphed into very simplified versions. So I might say, okay, I'm tired of drawing all the details of the ooh-ah. I'm just going to do this. And that's going to be the ooh-ah. And then from there, the ooh-ah becomes, you know, two little symbols for the syllables in ooh-ah. Ooh and ah. I mean, I don't know, but you get my point. So, and then from syllables to alphabets. So this is the progression here of the writing systems, all right? And I'm going to give you guys some examples. Have you guys written, you need to write pictographs. Look, here's how it's structured. Guys, look, you are doing better with your notes at the very beginning than you are now. I need you to focus on your notes. First writing systems, okay? Not symbols. And then underneath that, you're going to list in order, organized underneath this heading. These are the writing systems. Here's the list: pictographs and a description, logographs and a description, syllabaries and a description, alphabets and a description. Ruben, Evan, do you have it? Good boy. Okay. Ruben, let me know when you've caught up.
The writing, like, I can't read the writing.
Okay, first writing systems, you've got that.
Yeah.
Now, I want this I would like you to just. God damn it. Here, just do pictographs, logographs, syllabaries, and alphabets. Okay? So write pictographs, you got logographs, syllabaries, and alphabets, and then write symbols represent concepts, ideas, words, syllables, phonemes. Okay? Pictograph, logograph, syllabaries. Syllabaries. Okay, so once he's done with that, we will proceed.
I got the.
Okay, so just say pictographs. Okay, just write just a dash and then represents concept and ideas. Represents concepts and ideas, concepts/ideas. /ideas, okay, good. Logographs represent words. Syllabaries represent syllables, represent, good. Okay? Syllables. And I'm going to take my ooh-ah and I'm going to. Time to. Did you get alphabets?
Oh, represents words.
No, alphabets represent, remember, noises and sounds, phonemes. Noises and sounds. I would like you to know what phonemes are. Okay. Good.
I need a haircut.
Bro, hey. Bro, what time is it, bro?
I need a haircut right now. This one.
Yeah.
Shit, I do need to end. I might need to end kind of early because of y'all. That way y'all can go over there.
Wait, what's the haircut thing?
Supercuts, bot.
I know. I'm just asking. What do we like? What's the order? Or like, what's
the order? Is
Oh
this
no,
a
it's only
restaurant?
12:14, guys. You guys, it'll take you about 10 minutes to walk over there, less, maybe 5. And then once you get there, you gotta wait outside, and they'll just kind of wave at them through the window and let them know you're there.
Yeah, but I don't want to be like getting there like having to rush and for something to forget something.
Hey, listen, you're not gonna have to rush. I'm gonna let you go in about 20 minutes. Okay, fuck, man, Jesus.
That's 12. Okay.
You can do your push-ups later. We can do push-ups later. Gotta get swole, like your daddy. Okay, so
He's the only one who knows.
So here's what's cool, guys. Listen, look at this floppy top. And make sure you tell them I want a 2 on the sides faded up because you guys haven't had a haircut in forever, so they're gonna think you typically keep your hair longer. And if you don't tell them to shave it on the sides down to a 2 and to take whatever length they need to off the top to fade it, they are not gonna give you a proper haircut. Tell them I want a 2 on the sides, fade it up into the top, cut what you have to off the top. I want a short haircut. Tell them you haven't had a haircut in months.
Wait. Okay. So.
Okay?
What?
Alright. So guys, I want to talk about the 3 places on the planet where written language emerged independently. There was only 3 places. Okay. So you got your globe, right? You got your globe. I'm just gonna say here's the globe, and you got like South America, and this is North America. Okay. Right, these are the Americas. Hey,
What?
stop fucking around or you're
What
gonna
am
get
I
a
doing?
detention. Do you want a detention?
What even is that? What even is that?
A detention is when you have to do extra work because you've misbehaved in class.
This
And-
isn't even class. It's my house.
Oh,
It's my house that I live in.
yeah.
That I live in to have a break from school, and then you just make me do school, and I have to be like,
In summer.
There's Africa. Okay.
what are these roads?
Here's
Siberia.
Shut up, man. What are you even saying? Bob boy?
here's Europe.
Bob boy, yeah. Noob. Noob.
Papa Banga.
Noob. You're a noob. You're a noob at every sport.
Okay, here's Europe. Here's Australia. This is my simplified globe.
Why do you need it?
What
The
about
reason-
New Zealand?
The reason we need to is for one reason. I want to show you guys that what is this area here, this East Asian area? What's the major culture in East Asia? The main culture in East Asia. Evan?
Like Chinese.
Chinese!
Japan.
Okay, so we have China. This was one place where language emerged. Okay, China. Okay, next place, forgot to put the Middle East here. Next place is, this is Mesopotamia. That's like Sumer, right? Tigris and Euphrates. And then the last place is right there. What's right there? This is south of Texas. What's south of Texas?
Mexico.
Mexico, okay? Aztec, Maya. So we've got China, Sumer, and what we're going to call Mesoamerica, because this is like between North and South America. So it's called Mesoamerica because this was way before Mexico and all that, okay? But here's what we're going to look at. Now, I've already given you a hint. What kind of writing system did China have, Reuben? I already gave you a hint.
Pictographs.
It was actually logographs, but okay. Now Sumer had Sumerian cuneiform.
What?
It was the name of their language was cuneiform. Okay. Mesoamerican hieroglyphs, Chinese characters. Sumer had basically a pictograph. Mesoamerica also had a pictograph. Pictographic system, logographic system. Okay? Now, the first one to emerge, because this answers your question, was this guy right here. 3,000 years BC. 3,000 years BC is how many years ago? Because.
Before Christ. 3,000 years before Christ.
Okay, exactly. 3,000 years before Christ, but how many years ago is that? When did Christ live?
I feel like, I don't know, like 12.
What does BC mean?
Before Christ.
Okay, so we've got to know when Christ lived to know how many years ago it was.
I don't remember.
Well, have you heard the term AD?
Yeah, after death.
After the death of Christ. Anno Domini is the Latin for it. Means after God or whatever, after Christ. So all the centuries in our modern era follow the death of Christ. So our historical record is broken up into AD and BC. It's just a convention that historians have used for so long that they've stuck with it, okay? But Christ lived 2,000 years ago. So 3,000 BC is actually how many years? If we go back 2,000 plus the 3,000.
2,000, 4,000, or 5,000?
5,000 years ago. So we'll say 5,000 years ago. That is a long effing time ago. And this is they've discovered ancient tablets of stone with Sumerian cuneiform dating back 5,000 years. So we're gonna get more into this tomorrow, but for today, I think this is a good stopping point. And
I need to get a hair.
the bell's about to ring, so you
There
guys.
is no bell. So
Hey.
it's-
Listen.
No.
So let me see your notes. Ruben, it's decent. Evan, how's your notes?
better than Rubens.
Yeah, you did get the second part. Ruben didn't. So Ruben, why don't you
bad,
write
dude.
just hold on. Don't start with some sense of order. Look, so write the three. Why are China, Sumer, and Mesoamerica up on the board?
Huh?
Why are China, Sumer, and Mesoamerica up on the board? Why are they there?
Because those were the first languages.
Good.
we
So
learned.
write first languages, and then write your list. Okay, that's all for today. Happy.